got to get still enough and say, man, where am I supposed to be going?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be here? All I can remember is this. It was like my well was drying up.
What's going on, millionaires? It's your guy, Kai Speaks, back for another episode. You know, we've been hearing and we've been trying some new things in the background that y'all going to be seeing in the works very soon. But today I have a very special guest in the building. Y'all seen her once on the show recently. But this young lady has, closed millions of dollars in real estate, started investment properties at the age of 19. It's probably, now flipped projects into the hundreds now at this point. We got Jasmine Jenkins, aka Heavy House Jaz, in the building, and I would like to introduce to y'all as my guest co-host for the evening. Jaz, how you feeling today?
I'm feeling great.
You feeling blessed?
I'm feeling blessed. I won't complain.
Blessed by the best and never stressed about the rest.
Man,
I'm glad to have you, right?
Hey.
Because I like to have these conversations, and the type of conversations that you saw that I'll have by myself on the show versus the conversations I have with the guests. They're a little bit different. They're a little bit more of, helping our guests tap into themselves, bettering themselves, identifying ways to sharpen their skills, sharpen their minds, open their hearts, have a more heart-to-heart conversation with the guests. That's when I like to take my opportunities to have, my conversations with the guests. And, for me to have you on as a guest co-host, I'm excited because now it's no longer just me talking back and forth to the camera. It's like I get to make this a conversation. And sometimes I feel like people just need to hear conversations as opposed to hear somebody talking to them or talking at them. We can talk to each other and it's like talking to them. So that's why I love, about this opportunity, having you on here, for you joining me for this conversation, which, by the way, we're going to be talking about just like bettering yourself and more specifically getting in the right rooms, getting out of the rooms. And, me specifically, I recall a couple times where, I've seen, myself in a room or in a space or in an environment that I felt like I didn't belong because of how everybody else was thinking. Might have been a little bit more toxic, might have been a little bit more stagnant, and I just felt misplaced. Have you ever,
room.
Talk about like a time that you could recall of being in a room like that or in a space.
I remember just moving to Atlanta. Right before I was moving to Atlanta, all I can remember is this. It was like my well was drying up. And I was yearning for more. And it was funny because it's almost like a drug, that comfortability space, right? It's like I was, I wanted my friend. I was getting angry too.
Yeah.
You start to identify
like you wanted
feelings.
More for them and they didn't see it,
right? Like from my whole environment, from like my friends to my business that I was doing to my job, like things were just drying up. I couldn't find fulfillment. I wasn't being nurtured and multiplied, and I knew that those rooms, it was time to get out because that's not what God has us here for. He has us here for a promise, a beautiful, fruitful life. And so if that's not happening, it's usually, it's that fall off. Remember that we talked about it? It's that fall off to where you got to get still enough and say, man, where am I supposed to be going?
Yeah.
Am I supposed to be here? And I had to ask myself that. And I wanted so badly to leave, but it hurt.
And I feel like those moments are shown to us sooner than we pay attention to them, right? It's like some people, I feel like for most of us, will ignore it. And I've been guilty of this, where I've ignored the signs that the group that I was with or the space that I was in, the room that I was in, no longer served me. And I was serving it more than it was serving me. And we ignore those signs. What are some ways to identify those signs? What signs shown you that you was outgrowing those rooms, or those rooms no longer served you?
You become the only problem solver.
Oh, okay.
Burnout. Usually, you feel like you're the smartest person in the room, and sometimes you can even build up a level of arrogance.
Yeah. Ooh, the arrogance.
And so if you're a good person that checks and balances yourself, you'll notice some of those things that are coming that are not supposed to be in the pure-hearted, right? And the people that when you want to be good, and so I had to evaluate, like, why am I getting this way? Why am I feeling like this?
Yeah.
And it was because essentially I was supposed to be moving out of those rooms. It wasn't anybody or anything in particular. It was just where I was supposed to be. And, that's how the master is. That's how God is. It's like, hey, he wants you to go to new mountains. He has purpose for us all individually. And that's why it's called seasons.
Yeah.
So, but like I said, it hurt. It did hurt to have to realize that I had to move out of the room. You think, are you going to lose something? Are we still going to be friends?
We're still going to be cool.
If I move away, am I going to be able to sustain this investment? Not just with people, but like everything that you've built.
And what does that even look like too? Like if we no longer friends, or if we are still friends, but no longer in the space of how we used to be, are we mature enough to be able to be okay with that?
Right.
Because I know a lot of, people who sometimes forcing it because they don't know how that relationship will look after we move into these space. But I want to touch on something specifically that you said, which was the arrogance. When you start to see yourself getting arrogant, and that is so true, because when you in a space that serves you as much as you serve it, it's not arrogance. You mostly walking in that space with humility, and you got some type of humbleness about you, but also a confidence. Like confidence is not the same thing as arrogance. And the biggest difference is I can just from personal experience, like the rooms that I'm in now, I'm talking to some big names, deep pockets, and just people who have experiences that I've never even thought of having myself. And I don't feel less than, which is great. I feel empowered. I feel confident that I could walk into the spaces and I could be like, this is what I'm really good at, but help me understand what you good at.
That's right.
Or I still feel confident enough to stand in my truth and ask questions and help and even allow others to lead where they're strong. And I'm able to take a backseat in the areas that I'm not strong in. But when you got that arrogance.
That's it. I'm sorry I had to say
you're right.
It.
But
that's the part about getting out of the room that you're not supposed to be in and getting into the room that you're supposed to be in. You get to walk with confidence. But you'll never know unless you take that leap.
Right. Because that arrogance,
I was scared to move to Atlanta. I was.
Ooh.
And I'm
that's
sure
a hack.
people don't expect that from me. Like, I was scared. I'm kind of one of those fearless people. I'm like a trailblazer, like, blaze a trail, whatever. Like, I'm the doer. I get it done. But yeah, I was scared to be out of that environment of comfortability.
What were you most scared about?
Failing.
And have was you fearful of failing and having to go back and tell people you failed?
Failure, like meaning. And it's not even about telling people that you failed, because they never created it for me. It was more so, you're the hope for them. You're the hope. Everybody is always praising you. You're the one. And it's really God. But even when you're going out and saying that you're going to, leap off of this thing, you're still you right there at the flesh doing it. So you're scared. You're scared.
I had a homie as we was graduating, like right after we graduated college, who after about a year and a couple months of moving, we all moved from Philly at the same time. We had the same type of job, just in different cities. So I went to Miami, he went to the Houston area, and he had to go back home. And when I was talking to him about it, like the words and the feelings that he was expressing was just like the failure and just the disappointment, and just like more so outside of what you said was the perception of, because that you are it for others, the perception that people have when you come back, they only think you came back because it didn't work. And so he was just, sharing to me how disappointed it felt and like some of the things he was worried about. And he did it for about 2 months. He went back and he said, yo, Q, I cannot do this. I got to find a way to get right back out so people know that I'm about this. But, aside from that, I always felt like moving away from home in your 20s as early as possible was a life hack. Like it truly is a life hack.
That is a real life hack, and it's something I didn't do.
Mm.
That's a real life hack.
Wow. So why do you tell me why you feel like it's a life hack, and then I'll see if we aligned in that area.
I feel like it allows you to struggle with you, to go through that tussle of how are you gonna make it without calling everyone? Who are you? Do you like this? Without people telling you what to do anymore, or having this vision of you and how you grew up or who you are right now. You get to actually create who you want to be, who you want to be in that transition from, right, the adolescence to the adult. Like you get to really transform peacefully, even though there's gonna be chaos in it, because there's those unknowns. It's easier to land on your feet a little bit because you don't have so much shame. But you're gonna make some. You're gonna make some
mistakes. Yeah. You're gonna make some mistakes. You're gonna make some of the wrong choices, and I think that's also the beauty of it is like just giving yourself the power to be okay with making the wrong choice. Like you just got to make the decision. Don't think about if it's the right one or if it's the wrong one. The beauty of it is being in this new spaces. You get to make a decision and then sit back and watch and see what unfolds, and then learning from it and moving forward. And for me, I think the most beautiful thing that comes out of moving away from home is, especially as we're talking about, like not only outgrowing the spaces that don't serve you anymore, but also just building and creating an environment for growth. When you move to a new city, a new space that no one knows you, it's like you're really able to become like a sculptor and really be able to sculpt out this new environment that you've never been before, these people you've never met before. And it's not about like faking it or putting on a facade, but starting fresh and just building it out how exactly you want it to look, from the experiences, everything.
It is a real life hack, like you said, because now you said you moved away, right? Mm-hmm. So would you say that you can look at somebody that didn't move away as opposed to you that did move away and say that you're more confident in your choices?
Absolutely.
When you make them?
Like, and not even just myself, but like other people that I know from Philly, that I was close with. I could see the difference in them who are no longer in Philly versus, some of my brothers and, friends that I know that are still, not even just still in Philly, but still in the same neighborhoods, and it's like they still making things work. They still doing what they got to do, but it's like I could still sense the hesitation when it comes to like making a decision. I could still sense the uncertainty when it comes about, trying something different, that as opposed to me and my other guys and friends that I know is like, you present something new to us. We're like, ooh, that sound different.
So what would you say it gave you?
Confidence. Out of everything, it gives you a different level of confidence, and determination too, to like not just figure it out, but figure you out.
Got it.
And I think you even had a similar experience. Like when you said just like learning yourself, it's like you learned to figure you out as you was, once you moved to Atlanta. It was like some new things you had to uncover.
A lot, yeah. And it's crazy funny. I wonder if our experiences are different, being that I was like 30 something when I moved, as opposed to you possibly at like 20 something.
Yeah,
right?
It was like when I first moved, I was like 22, 23.
Exactly. So 32 and right, I was 31.
Okay.
So it's literally a 10-year span.
Mm-hmm.
I was messed up. I felt like I was failing, and I had acquired so much and had been sustainable for so long that I felt I went through a shame moment, and nobody even knew.
That's probably the best time to go through is when it's not broadcasted, so you can still figure it out yourself.
I know, but I'm just sitting there like, I wonder if it's like that in your 20s, because you haven't built so much. So it's like, you're just going out like 20 years old. I can come back home. I didn't feel like that, I never left at 20.
I'm about to say, I didn't feel like that.
You can come back home.
I didn't feel like that. Like at 22, I moved out of the house. Mind you, I was living abroad in college already. Okay. Like I didn't live in the home in my house since like 18, besides breaks and stuff. So it's a little different. But I officially moved out at 22. And by 23, like when my mom was asking, like, how you liking it? I was like, I love it. I'm never moving back up north. Like, and it wasn't even, I felt like that. And I said that because of how much I loved it down south. Yeah. But I also was saying it like to remind me is like, this is your territory to build out your brand, like to build out who you want to be. Right. This is your territory to do it. And you have no business to move back up north, because I honestly I didn't feel like my place to build was up north. I feel like I now look at my hometown as a place I'll revisit to give back, not to build, not to rebuild, or it's literally to give back.
I love it. I get it.
But that's kind of like where I'm at. So it is a little different. I get it. But you felt like you could have went back if you was to move out in your 20s.
Well, when I left, essentially it was to be able to come back and give back, because I left for a couple of different purposes, but majority of it was to be a better businesswoman. A better businesswoman. I'm sorry, but a black woman in business in Oakland, California, it's not easy.
And how did you identify Atlanta as that spot?
I went on a tour. I went on a person.
You went on a tour?
I did.
So you went to different places to scope out which one was going to be best? Yes. Okay. I think that's smart.
I wrote them down, and I said, hey, where could I actually live and why? And it had to be like, you had to have somebody either there possibly, what if something happened, or at least close. And then where can you actually do business and grow? Okay. And for me, what were my pitfalls? What did I need? What rooms did I need to get out of? And what rooms did I need to go into? I was in a place in the environment where black men always talk to white women. I needed to be in a place where I saw us together. I needed to be in an environment where I saw the black woman be loved, honored, and respected. And I dated outside my race. They didn't want it like that either. I show up with a white boy, they over there. They'll walk up on the guy. Like, it was no place for me to be. Like, there was I couldn't be there.
That's crazy. The audacity too, right?
It is wild.
Yeah.
It's like a war zone over there, So I came here definitely to see myself in all aspects that I wanted to be in. As a feminine woman, businesswoman, I'm surrounded by educated black people that are doing, or minority people rather, that are doing amazing things. So I knew that I needed to get out of that room. My friends, my family, they're amazing people, but we're all struggling there as an environment culturally because of some of the things that just aren't. And Atlanta, it has it. It has it primarily because of black education.
Yeah, I think that's smart too. Like just speaking on the tour that you went on prior to, like, I think that will eliminate, like, for so many of us that are scared to move away from home. And I say scared because a lot of us will pretend like we're not scared, but deep down inside will probably agree that they could see themselves living somewhere else, but they at this point have been procrastinating on it for the last 3-5 years. Never leave, right? And I think so many of us are scared of us because we just don't even know what the first step to make is. And when you think about it, when I think about...
And we get caught up in losing what we have.
Yeah, and when I think about all my brothers that haven't moved away from the city, I think what most of them also have in common is most of them haven't even traveled outside the country.
Wow. That's wild.
Right.
Yeah, that's wild.
Most of them haven't even traveled outside the country. Most of them haven't even been on a plane.
It's true.
And so we just got to make that first step to just get out there more. Like, don't even make the commitment that, okay, I'm going to move, but just say I'm going to get out of my hometown and just explore.
Yes.
Like, I can honestly say I was fortunate enough to travel out of the country at like 6th grade was my first trip out of the country. And it wasn't on a plane. It was like a little bus ride to Montreal. But I was able to be in a new country, get a taste of a new culture, to see new people. And that kind of opened my eyes up to, like, yeah, I think I like this traveling thing. I think I want to get out there more. But as an adult, we have to take these matters into our own hands and just start off by just taking a little drive to to the neighboring state. Then from there, get a little ticket, to go to another coast. Then from there, get another little ticket, visit, South America, or if you on the West Coast, just go somewhere, right?
Go somewhere. Just get out the box.
Just get out.
The box that you're in.
Yeah.
That's what it is. And so I really enjoy this conversation right now. Just because, right, what does that room look like? And that room looks different for everybody. And it was funny you talked about, energy and being an empath, and being able to understand even when you're speaking, because you have to understand you can be so hard on another person about the room that they need to get out of. But how can you relate to them? How can you relate to them to let them know it's okay to get out of the room?
Yeah. And you can come back if you need to.
And you could come back if you need to. Not preferably, but you could come back if you need to. Especially if it's not a bad place. And even if you fall off and you go back to that room, you can always get back up to get out of the box or get out of that room. But I just enjoy having this conversation about being able to get out of the room or out of your box that you're in, and knowing that everybody's room or box looks different. I have friends right now, 40 years old, still blaming the world for all of their losses. Stop.
Yeah.
Stop. That's what I say. Your box looks different than somebody else's box. Whereas somebody else might sit there and they're always successful. They win in everything that they do, but they won't be still. They don't know how to freaking get out of the freaking rat race of just making money all the time.
Yeah.
And they don't know how to live on a personal level or attract love.
Right.
Because they're in a freaking box.
And it's so crazy because as we talking about this box, I keep coming back to thinking about a conversation I had with our audience a few months ago. And it's just reminding us that no matter what room or what box you're in, they all come with an echo. Right, so we stuck in these echo chambers. So you got to really choose and be intentional and be careful on which echo you even want to be associated with, because you can be stuck in an echo where all people do is talk about how they don't have enough and how everybody's out to get them and how people are evil and mean and this and that.
Modern day slavery.
Yep. Or you can get trapped in the echo where all people know is how to lead with love, and lead with grace and understanding, because the thing of this room right here has an echo.
So funny, right? Go.
This room right here has an echo. If I cut down and it gets a little quiet in here, if it was just me talking, I could hear my voice playing back. So every room has an echo where we're repeating some of the same things that we do, but we're also starting to repeat things that the other people in the room are saying and doing as well. So it's like you got to be intentional with the rooms that you're in for that reason as well.
Yes.
On just minding your echoes and being trapped in the loop.
That's the biggest shit you ever said. That's the biggest shit you ever said. The reason why is because it's serious. That stems on so many levels. Meaning the quality of your relationships, the quality of your life. It relies on the echo. The echo. What are you saying? What are people saying? And eventually that vibration comes into you, and you'll then start to repeat that cycle. You are who you hang around.
Yep.
Man.
Yep.
Yes. All these great sayings, they're not supposed to go in one ear and out the other. They're there for those constant reminders for you. And I know people hear and they go blah, 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 but they really matter and they land different in different seasons. So I hope that this,
That's because sometimes the echo that we hearing is the echo that we became. So it don't even, we can't even decipher it as, if you're saying blah, blah, blah at that, it may not be your season, but it also may be because you have become the echo that you need to escape from. Yeah. It's tough. This is going to be fun. And Jazz, I think having these conversations with you on board is what allows the platform to grow, and what allows us to make this a much more organic conversation, for our listeners as well. And, I'm just speaking of just outgrowing those rooms. I think this is another room that, we just, instead of outgrowing it, we kind of, we're alike in this regard. We kind of make rooms grow with us instead of necessarily having to outgrow the room. It's like everybody else, okay, we in this room together, what we doing to grow the room? The room got to get bigger now. It
has to get bigger.
We got to knock down some walls.
That's it.
Put up a little beam here, maybe extend it out a little bit.
And that's what you want to be around.
Yeah.
I only want to be with the doers and the drivers, but what's great about being that is that we, like how you said, we can go into any room and drive it out. Knowing our purpose. I appreciate us being able to come together, because in that we're going to be able to do more. And people have to know when they get out of the room, when they get into the room, this is a nice room. This is a nice room. I hope that everybody hears it as a nice room, because it's important to work together, to understand that there's value in interdependence. Not, like you said, not too codependent, not too independent, but know that you have a gift and you can walk confidently.
Walk confidently. That's the beauty of it. Like, again, just
yes.
If you want to build your confidence, this episode is going to help you. But more importantly, getting out of your hometown is what initiates those steps into build. And it sounds redundant, right? I mean, it not even sounds redundant. It sounds counterintuitive. If I want to get more confident, I need to go somewhere I've never been before. Yeah. But that's literally what it is. That's where all the growth is.
And it helped us both.
Yeah.
So we're a product of, moving away from that hometown or comfortability zone, whatever it looks like for you, and it benefiting us.
Comfort does not always equal confidence, but confidence always equals comfort. Not necessarily, right? Just saying that out loud, I'm like, maybe not, because you could be confident and still be uncomfortable, but it's an intentional uncomfort. That's a whole nother conversation.
What I can say is this, which is kind of factual.
Yeah.
Meaning there's two people,
right?
10 years spent apart. They both did the same thing, and they got a positive result from it. Meaning that, guess what? It's not a 50-50 chance that you're probably going to grow and gain something by moving out of a comfortable place. So highly encourage you to do it, no matter what it looks like, because guess what? You're probably going to get a positive result.
Right. And for the record, we're not 10 years apart. Is what?
No, meaning our choice.
We made the choice 10 years apart. Yeah.
To move outside of our comfort zones.
Right.
Our hometown, it still had the same benefit.
Yeah. I was just making that for the audience, so they know, like, it don't matter. It don't matter. You're saying it don't matter when you do it. Yes. You still get a beneficial result. Yes. Hey, I love it. Well, millionaires, I want you all to make sure y'all tap in every single Monday for those new episodes. Y'all know we hitting y'all with those new clips and trailers on Fridays. And then on Tuesdays, we bringing y'all the creators community, which we've revamped once again. As you guys know, the creators community has been a safe place for creators to get together, build with one another, collaborate, and figure out ways that we can continue to build the dreams and the lives that we truly want for ourselves and for others. And creator does not necessarily mean you're a content creator. You may be creating opportunities for others. You may be creating some deals in real estate. You may be creating, credit, whatever, creating products. If you are a creator, which we all are, which we all need to tap into, you deserve to belong a part of the creators community. So without further ado, make sure you build momentum, drive results, and keep focused so you can live abundantly. Peace.